I feel like as we grow up, we realize that the movies that we loved as kids sometimes aren't as widely recognized as we may have thought. What you once may have believed is top-tier cinema that everyone else respects, you may later realize in life that you are the only person on the face of the earth that has heard of it. In my case, that is how I feel about the 2001 film Evolution. Being led by David Duchovny and Orlando Jones, this early 2000s sci-fi comedy seriously made up my entire childhood. However, as I've gotten older and started asking people if they've seen the movie, there isn't a single person that I have talked to that has even known this movie existed. And looking into it, looks like nobody's talking about this movie at all, with the exception of this one dude that made a review of the movie literally like 2 weeks before I made this video. Like the first time in years that anyone's ever even talked about Evolution. Now this guy puts a review out about it. What's up with that, man? Seeing as how Evolution is so wildly underrated, underrecognized, and underappreciated, I figured it's about time that I gave y'all my 2 cents. What's going on, you guys? It is Sukimelt back with another video, and today we're switching up the flow a little bit. We're stepping away from stand-up comedy and we're going to more comedy movies. I don't know, I really want to be able to talk about whatever I want to on here, and I feel like movies are similar enough to comedy in this whole venture that I'm going on, so I hope that you guys enjoy the ride. All that being said, let's get into the video. As I said, Evolution is a sci-fi comedy that came out in 2001. If you're like the rest of the planet that hasn't seen it, let me give you a brief rundown of what happens. Essentially, the two main characters, Ira Kane and Harry Block, work at the local community college. All of a sudden, a meteor strikes down, and as scientists, they decide to go investigate. And then the meteor ends up having aliens in it. Aliens grow. The aliens are growing like 20 million times faster than humans did. So over the course of a couple days, you see this alien species go from cells to flatworms to animals to primates, so on and so forth. Just evolving crazy fast, raging havoc amongst the town, and our main characters have to find out how to beat them. But this wouldn't be a 2001 movie if the government wasn't the villain, so naturally the government is evil as well. Well, not really the government, I guess just this one fucking secretary guy who's a dick. He's really got it out for Ira Kane. All right, so now you kind of know what the movie's about. First of all, the biggest point that I want to make, I don't want to say this movie is carried by it, but holy shit is this movie helped by Orlando Jones's delivery. His facial expressions are inarguably the funniest parts in the entire movie. His timing, his delivery, his acting, his lines, he is hysterical every time he is on screen.
There's always time for lubricant!
And I gotta say, his explosive energy and more outgoing nature definitely is a nice compliment to Duchovny's more dry and conservative approach to this character. So it's the usual crazy guy, calm guy type of dynamic, but it works out really well. The other thing that I want to note is the CGI in this movie is really impressive. Like, okay, it's not like ray tracing, crazy, ridiculous graphics that you would expect from something today, maybe. But you gotta remember, this movie came out in 2001. And being a 2001 film, CGI is pretty great. And not to mention, it's not exclusively CGI. They do a really good job of mixing in practical effects as well. And overall, the aliens really do feel immersed into the world. Sure, you can look at them and be like, yes, that's CGI. That's, for sure. But I gotta be honest, in some instances, it's better than CGI we have today. And I gotta be honest, Marvel's kind of setting the bar low there right now, today at least. So there's not a whole lot of competition, but neither here nor there. Sean William Scott, the actor that you might know from Dude, Where's My Car, is also in the movie. He's really funny. He plays a guy that's trying to be a firefighter, and he's actually at the very beginning of the movie, the meteor crashes on him as he's training to be a firefighter. But the point is, as the story moves on, he slowly begins, getting integrated in the main cast, the main let's go beat the aliens guys. And he's got a very simple and goofy character. He's very much so a comedic relief character, but he does bring a lot to the table in terms of story development. His simple nature mixed with Orlando Jones's wit and the dry humor coming from David Duchovny really creates some top tier moments that I haven't seen replicated in any other film since.
Wayne, I think we've established that caca and tuki don't work.
My favorite part about the way that this story is told is that they don't force information down your throat. Rather, they let you experience these characters' stories along the way. Rather than giving you this giant introduction, letting you know all of these characters' ins and outs right as you meet them, as the story progresses, you find out more about the characters as well as the other characters in the movie. So for example, Ira Kane has this entire dark backstory where he used to work for the military, made this vaccine that didn't end up working out, and we find that out at the same time Harry does. We we are able to form our own opinions about the characters and the story without being told how to feel about them. We're just given the story, and I feel like that's what's beautiful about art, is that you get to make your own decision. You get to kind of get to know the character yourself. And I think the most important thing about this movie is what a lot of movies today are lacking, and that's just trying to tell a story. I know that every movie technically tells its own story, but it feels like almost every movie that's coming out today, at least those like big budget Hollywood films, everything's trying to set up to some sort of cinematic universe, some kind of trilogy, some kind of, like, it's always, how can we take this idea and milk the most out of it, get the most money out of it, and dude, it's just getting so boring. It's so exhausting. I'm so tired of it. Get back to stories. This is a perfect story of beginning, middle, and end. What can we accomplish in the runtime that we have, and how can we make this movie great without needing hundreds of other movies to explain why it's great? Let's just make a good movie in the first place. And in the way that they tell the story throughout the film's runtime, it's a mix of two stories being told parallel. You have the main characters going on their adventure trying to stop this alien uprising, but then you also have the behind the scenes of telling the entire story of evolution.
He said it! He said it!
Basically explaining the process of how things evolve on the planet. It's a very interesting take on the race against time cliche that we've seen used a lot in movies, but instead of some big countdown timer, the timer is just, when are these going to evolve to a point that they take over humanity? Using the evolution of the aliens as a storytelling mechanic really works out well for this movie, and it really helps keep viewers engaged throughout. In fact, they go through so much evolution, even though the movie only has an hour 40-minute runtime, it feels like you're there for 2.5 hours, not because it's boring, but just because so much shit happens. Ultimately, evolution may not be your cinematic masterpiece that you're looking for. It may not be Pulp Fiction or Goodfellas. The Mask. It may not be some cinematic masterpiece, but what it is it's a fun film. It's a lot of fun to watch. It is hysterical. So many people get caught up in, this movie has to be the best movie that I've ever seen. It has to have perfect screenwriting and perfect, like, dude, chill the f out, man. Just have some fun. It's a movie. Get some popcorn, watch the movie, let yourself have some fun. This movie doesn't take itself seriously. It's very lighthearted while being ridiculously funny and incredibly engaging the entire time. If you guys have a couple hours to kill, I could not recommend this movie more. And if you watch it, make sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Have you already seen Evolution? If so, am I off base here? Am I wrong? Like, I feel like no one's talking about this movie.
I had watched the movie the other night with him, and I thought it was pretty good, honestly. I thought it was pretty good, pretty funny.
We got his approval. Listen, guys, I don't have too much to say today. I really just wanted to sit down and kind of talk about one of my favorite movies. Right now, I'm just trying to test the waters of what all content I can make. So I thought this would be fun. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like, all the other stuff. Make sure to go check out my previous videos where I talk about some cool comedians and even try to write some stand-up myself. Until next time, deuces.